Hello everyone, guten Tag, bonjour, добрый день. This is me, Zeno77. Today, together with you, we are heading to another stream. Let me just set this all up. Now, this will be a very short stream because I had a lot of stuff to do. I still have a lot of stuff to do. I've done a lot of stuff. I had to talk to some people, and I have to wake up in the morning. But I can't not give you a stream. So that being said, we are going to have one. And it's a very good coincidence that I saved a video but by one of my favorite YouTubers, the one that's had the one that we have had our first reaction with on this YouTube channel in the history of it. It is our boy Jen, and I want to talk about the dark realities of internet and the problem of it. I think it should be an interesting theme, and again, it's only one video that I have time for. I promise a weekly stream. It's something that I have because I really don't have time to grow in some way this YouTube channel very broadly, so to say. I don't have another real ways to do it. This is approximately the way I can give to you. So, with some streams and some reactions, maybe. And we had a successful reaction last week. We finally hit 75 subscribers. Let me just quickly switch you to this tab. Thanks to a very good video, thanks to our Brad Cooper video scaling to 2,000 views. This is like a whole new record. I don't know when this is going to be broken, but it's a great thing. And 75 is a nice number. Next goal that I've written to myself in my list of goals is 100 subs. I think we can do it even if we do it like this, step by step. Eventually, one day, there's going to come the day where I will be able to grow my channel better. But it will be a long period looking like this. And I think that even like this, we can still get to some bigger numbers. But in any case, today's the stream about the internet. Now I'm going to instantly switch to it. Let me just listen if I can hear myself well. Yeah, I can hear myself very well. So, with that being said, let me share this tab instead and get some water. And then let's have a quick and nice stream today. So, the dark realities of Gen Alpha's internet addiction. A new video by Jen. This is a YouTuber that we've been watching through a very long time, and his reactions were always interesting because he does these investigations that leave some space for alternative thinking, which is exactly the thing that we'll be doing today. And today uh, we are investigating internet, specifically Gen Alpha's internet addiction, and why is it a problem? Dark realities associated with problems. Should be a very interesting video. With that being said, let's dive into it.
Today I decided to dive deeper than anybody has done when it comes to the dangers of the internet to kids. And to do so, I talked to a Harvard doctor. And I'm also going to interview two moms that lost their kids to the hidden dangers of social media.
As a parent, I failed. The grief, the pain, it's always there.
I found my daughter dead the next day. There's a whole bunch of regret. Social media just needs to be safer.
And since you're probably watching this while scrolling on your phone or procrastinating at work or school, I'll make it easy for you to pay attention. So here's some entertainment on the side. So as someone who, in a way,
This is so annoying. Like, I actually didn't understand at the very beginning why this thing was done. I'm not saying that my attention isn't screwed up. I also often can't watch a very long video all the way without any side distractions. But whenever there's like stuff like this, or I don't know, let's say they put some lava melting or any type of action, it really annoys me because I get the weird instant distraction from it. But yet, you see, for someone, it's just a way to keep attention on.
Does make a living monetizing your attention? I wanted to know, should and will the government do something? What are these hidden dangers?
Take away, please. I can't watch this. Like I instantly feel bad inside because it's hard for me to understand what is happening on this.
Of social media for kids and parents alike, and by the end, I'll see if there's anything that we can do to solve this crisis. So let's start by asking parents who unfortunately lost their kids to the internet. Thanks for joining. If you could just kind of tell me who you are and what your story is.
My name is Misty. My story is that I had a 17-year-old daughter. She purchased a counterfeit via Snapchat.
Oh
and
no. Oh no, I can see where it's leading to.
the next morning, I found her deceased in her room. Since then, I've been raising awareness on the dangers of counterfeit pills and social media with kids and social media harms in general.
Do you know any other parents who have been going through a very similar situation as yours?
Oh yeah, our stories are all very, very similar.
My name's Amy Neville, and I am the president of the Alexander Neville Foundation. The foundation came to be after we lost our 14-year-old son, Alexander, to fentanyl poisoning the summer of 2020. Alexander.
What happened specifically? Like, I just don't want to go like deeply right now into searching the cases on my own. Like, why did they die? I hope they should explain this. I hope they will explain this right now.
Had a funky few days in June of 2020. I asked him, like, what's going on, dude?
Fentanyl. Wait, I need to Google this term. I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't know everything. These like this happen. Oh no, give me the English meaning, man. I have these French settings that I need to change. Is a potent opioid drug approved by the Food and Drug for use as an pain relief. Okay, I think I got where it's going to.
I even asked him if he was using something, and he said no, but he did come back to us and he said, okay, I got to talk to you guys. He said, I wanted to experiment with Oxy. I got it from a dealer on Snapchat. It has a hole on me.
No, dealers on Snapchat. I mean, I don't use Snapchat, so it's really hard for me to comment specifically on this app, but I just found another reason why not to.
Don't know why. I called the treatment place. He came home, he went to bed, and sometime after 9 o'clock, he took the pill that took his life. Like, death was not on the radar.
Is this something like a regret that you kind of live with every day?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how could I have known? Like, what could I have said after my daughter took that pill? Did she know something was wrong? Like, was she scared to come and tell me? And so she just went to sleep.
There will always be a sense of regret, right? My number one job in life is to protect my kids. And as a parent, I failed. So it's, so that's always there.
I actually like how the parents genuinely understand the problem that they did. And, I can't even tell them anything badly because, well, I thought about saying this in the end, like not the end of the stream, probably at the end of the clips, but I'll say it right now to make it more clear. I think that we've entered, and now we're still in this stage of transformation where internet is already something, internet and gadgets is something that will forever be a part of us. And yet the older generation isn't prepared yet that it's something that you should educate your children on, so to say. So for example, when the previous generations were younger, they were taught about the bad things that you get from drinking alcohol when you're too young, from using different drugs. And I kind of feel that we're at a similar stage with the internet. I'm not saying that internet is completely bad, but it's still a part of the life that will eventually be. So the children need to be prepared in order how to use it. It's even more powerful if you think about it than alcohol was to previous generations. Yeah, if there was something that we could compare internet to from the previous times, maybe I'll come up with it later.
Right, the grief, the pain, the missing him, it's always there.
So yeah, there's a whole bunch of regret. Social media just needs to be safer. That's really the bottom line.
So what would you say are like the biggest dangers to the kids on the internet today?
Definitely the drug situation. Everybody always thinks not my kid. You know, there's not a drug problem in my house, so I don't have to listen to this messaging. But the reality is, drop that stigma. Whatever that we think we used to know about the war on drugs, drop that.
These kids weren't out at a party. They weren't out running the streets. They weren't doing those things. These kids were on social media obtaining counterfeit pills.
Social media has changed the game.
And so we'll come back to this because just a few months ago, 60 parents launched a lawsuit against Snap,
claiming their children died after taking illegal drugs sold by dealers on the app.
When it comes to the internet and kids, it's not just parents that are taking action now.
One of the country's largest adult entertainment websites has now been shut down here in Texas.
Texas
Well, let's finish this clip and then I'll make a comment.
sued Pornhub, accusing them of not following Texas law of checking users' ages properly and keeping minors from accessing bad content. And in response, they decided to block access to the site in Texas altogether. And just as I'm making this video, Florida just announced that they'll be banning social media for kids under 14. And so now even governments are taking action.
The problem is exactly that I just stated before. We're entering this stage. And it's not only about internet. Social media will be there with us, even if we want it or not. And for all of you saying that, oh, free speech, even free speech has to be protected. The thing is, when people take it to a further way and they start manipulating, with these laws by banning something that shouldn't really be banned, well, that's where you try to find the consensus. Where do we actually limit? And obviously stuff like drug dealing or adult content access, that should be something that has to be controlled and limited. And again, if someone's going to talk about free speech, there is a reason why you're not allowed to vote, for example, until you're 18. I think it's in most countries 18. It's not because they're taking away free speech, but it's because you're usually determined that you're not yet responsible to take certain actions. And I'm obviously for it. I am pro social media positive control, so to say.
Buried in those devices all day is not the best way to grow up. It's not the best way to get a good education.
But is this all just a bit extreme, or between stories like Misty and Amy and past events that's happened, does this make sense? Because when we go back to 2015, a game started circulating around the internet where it involved teenagers completing 50 dangerous challenges in 50 days. Yeah, so
I remember this thing when I was younger. It was called Blue Whale. I'm not sure if it was the same in Europe, but oh my God, was that common? Everyone knew about it. In Eastern Europe, countries like Ukraine, like Russia, like Belarus, all of these. I don't know who started it, and actually it got shut down in a couple of months, but for some period of time, everyone knew that there was this thing in the internet.
So a bunch of teens doing challenges, yeah, that should never go right. The game's Russian creator himself aimed to cleanse society. So what exactly was the challenge? The first few facts included waking up in the middle of the night and watching a scary movie. But here's where things take a dark turn, because day by day the task grew more and more dangerous. Participants had to poke themselves with a needle, climb cranes, cut themselves, and then on the final day,
it's called the Blue Whale Challenge.
Okay, it was actually a thing in, I didn't even know that. Sorry, I was 10. I didn't even know that. I knew it was common in Eastern Europe, but oh my God, it was actually worldwide.
And it's getting kids to hurt themselves and then post pictures and even videos of them doing it.
The Blue Whale Challenge led 130 children to unalive themselves, and when similar games like Momo challenges also occurred in the past.
This freak happened. Yeah, oh my God. I have so many bad flashbacks right now. Let's just cut to the next.
It makes you think that one, kids are obviously easily influenced, but also the fact that people can influence someone at this level from anywhere in the world.
The other thing too is there's the choking challenges out there. Our kids are not necessarily seeking these choking challenges, but they show up in their For You feed. They engage with the video, they watch the video, and then over time.
Verkaufe an Millionen von Menschen online mit der Social Media und
And not
Marktplatzintegration
sponsored by
von
this
Shopify.
ad.
They get bored and decide to try it one day, or somebody dares them to try it through social media. And next thing you know, they're doing these things.
So like again, even if it's just a Subway Surfer, hopefully I'm keeping your attention at this point. Because when this is my job, obviously I'm gonna be biased. I'm not gonna be some boomer that says that we should ban social media or internet altogether. And so instead, I wanted to bring in an expert from Harvard who's way smarter than you or I, and who's also technically a boomer, what his thoughts are on this issue.
Bruh. I mean, I know he's a Harvard doctor, and I know I'm not talking about myself, but who knows who's watching your video? Come on, respect the audience. He's not the guru of it all.
I am Michael Rich. I am a pediatrician. I'm the founding director of the Digital Wellness Lab and the Clinic for Interactive Media and Internet Disorders.
What is an impact on media today on kids that isn't that commonly known?
I think an impact is that they live in a larger world than kids ever have before. They have access to virtually anybody, anywhere, at any time, which is phenomenal as an educational tool, but is potentially worrisome because they can wander anywhere. So they need to be informed and empowered to make the right choices for them in that environment.
What platform has caused the most problems?
We don't look at it that way. We look at it as what uses of these platforms is more or less harmful. Well, I think that algorithms that lead you to negative places. Say a young person is interested in being healthy. They go online, they look up being healthy, that gets equated to being thin, that gets equated to eating less, and they go down the rabbit hole of an eating disorder. Teach them critical.
Well, yeah, this is also another problem. You know, the kid is dumb. Sorry to break it, but the kid is dumb, and they really need guidance on what is the correct thing to follow or just to. And that's where internet needs control more than ever.
Thinking by bringing some cognitive dissonance in.
To be honest, I can relate, man. I've been watching like a lot of shorts recently, and I always feel so guilty after these binge sessions, and maybe it's just my ADHD, but do any of you guys ever remember a short that you watched? Like if you watch shorts today, try and remember one short that you watched.
Okay, let me think. Let me quickly think of a short that I watched today. Okay, the thing is, I often rewatch shorts. I very often go into my saved playlist. So, for example, I watched the short with the wolf from Puss in Boots, and then I remembered I watched another short from New Girl, the scene with Schmidt where I think her name is Sadie, where he books an appointment and she explains her how to be good in bed. So, but the thing is, because I engage into watching shorts, and that's I think another thing that a lot of the people don't have today is they just keep scrolling. I don't want to brag that I'm some sort of exceptionalist, but I think I have the opposite. That the problem is when I watch a short, I get super adjusted to it, and then I have to rewatch it again sometimes because, well, if I like it, I rewatch it. So I still have hope, at least. I hope that you too do.
Come on. Right? Like that can't be good for our brains. Because whenever I'm watching shorts all the time, I've noticed that it's making it harder for me to focus on my work or my craft. Where even in these interviews that you've seen so far, there's been some instances where my mind is completely wandering when I should be fucking listening. But like, look, I'm 27, so I did grow up in an age where I knew a life without iPads, but now you see these 13-year-olds growing up and all they know is being an iPad kid. And I swear it's the saddest shit seeing that when you're at like a restaurant and you see these kids buried in their iPad with their parents looking all stressed and tired, but also happy that they finally shut up. But anyways, before we get back to what happened with Snap, I want to do a little bit of an experiment and see what.
The worst thing is actually watching people being like glued to their phones while they're walking. You know, it's a bit confusing. At least when you listen to music, you kind of look like you have your head in front. Plus, you never know if they're actually watching. Maybe someone just puts it in order to have some calm sound, but they're still prepared. But the eyes, that they're looking on the screen, they spoil it all.
What it's like to be a 14-year-old iPad kid today. And so to do that, I'm going to create a TikTok account and put my age as 14 to simulate the type of content that I'll get at that age. I actually saw this article where it's essentially saying how TikTok, within 30 minutes of joining the platform, it started showing content like eating disorders and self-harm to people as young as 13.
Am I too depressed to eat? Yes, but 2 weeks, 10 pounds off.
It doesn't matter how young you are, it's going to start just pushing content that's gonna get you to stick to that platform. So I'm gonna start creating a new account here.
You should do like a stream where I go do some experiments like this. I think this could be fun. It won't be quite a reaction, but it will be something I will be able to fit in my schedule, you know, some experiment stream.
Okay, so I'm just going to sign up. So what would 14 years old be? I guess since the 2020, wow, 2010. That's wild to think about. I was born in 97, so.
I love
Brother is just torturing himself for us. Jen, we need you.
So now I've been swiping for around like 30 minutes or so. Yeah, I can now see what's going on. It started showing a bunch of girls, but now it's really just, that's the only thing that they're showing. It's just a bunch of thirst trap from girls that I think a 14-year-old kid would like. The reason why I want to actually do this though is because I saw this video that essentially breaks down TikTok's crazy terms of service. Broken down here by Joe Rogan.
This is from TikTok's privacy policy. We collect certain information about the device you use to access the platform, your IP address, identifiers for advertising purpose, device IDs, keystroke patterns or rhythms. So they're monitoring your keys.
You know what's the funniest thing? I read it all. I read it all, particularly because I had a seminar in my class, and I didn't have TikTok before that. I had a seminar where people were complaining that 200 pages of terms and services is not correct because they put all the important information, but no one's gonna read it. I sat down. It wasn't 200 pages, but I read it all out, and I still registered for TikTok. But a lot of the people, they don't know what they're signing up for. They're just, give me that quick. And then, they started complaining that, oh my God, something is bad. Your signature is there, and you can't prove it that you didn't read it. It's the funniest thing to look at people complaining about something that they were supposed to read. There's a reason you need to accept terms and conditions, but nobody reads them anymore, unfortunately.
Keystrokes, which means they know every fucking thing you type.
Wow. TikTok isn't like the only one that might be potentially selling their information, right? In fact, we know Meta, Google, all these different platforms are selling the data, right? That's the only reason why it's free. And what they do is they actually sell it to data brokers who will sell it to spammers, scammers, or literally anyone that wants data of these people who use the platform. But whether you're a 14-year-old kid or someone my age who actively uses these platforms, you can see how much like weird data out there is of you that you may never even know that you gave up. So enough playing a 14-year-old kid on.
That's why you should always think of your action. There will be some things that you can't track. There will be stuff. I think this is actually a very good video. I'm going to send this to a couple of good friends and colleagues of mine because it does explain. We've been having this discussion that this irresponsibility of people is now at the highest price that it could ever be, because getting access to someone is so easy that you won't even remember what specifically did you put there, and it's a huge problem. The people have to figure out how do they solve it, because eventually one day. You don't need a lot of cases. You just need one case where it hits you hard, where, I don't know, a scammer gets all your money, or someone signs something under your name and you now all of a sudden owe something to random people. I don't know, but you are preparing so that you can avoid that one particular day.
TikTok. Now what I want to do is to Google myself. So let's do this quick search, right? I'm just going to search up my name. So obviously for me, it makes sense that a lot of this information is public, but I'm willing to bet you probably see like your email, phone number, home address, like all out there on Google. So since I use the internet all the time and I'm giving out my data, that's why I use Aura, today's sponsor for this video.
Okay, this is advertisement, which I'm not getting paid for, so why should I show it to you?
Harder to keep kids safe online, especially with apps like Snap. Essentially, your daughter was connected to a drug dealer through Snapchat. Who do you blame for what happened?
I absolutely blame Snapchat. You know, they are very aware of what their platform is doing, and they're not taking any accountability. They're not working with us to try and make it a safer platform.
This increase in drugs to our adolescents, I blame on Snapchat. They are the largest open-air drug market in existence, especially when it comes to our adolescents. And they chose to sweep it under the rug rather than educate the communities about it or put out real warnings about harms on their platforms, or hey, parents, you should be looking out for these things, as we did.
So I'm sure everybody knows.
So before we get any comments that, oh, it's the responsibility of parents to teach them, blah, 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 blah. Let's take a literal example. I don't know. A kid goes to, I don't know, let's say a school. A kid goes to a school or a kindergarten, doesn't matter. But let's take a school particularly. And on that school, there in the park, there are drug dealers hanging out there. And the school knows that this thing can happen, but takes no action to, so to say, stop the dealers or to prevent them on being there and trying to push something to their children. That is why you blame the school. Not because it's particularly responsible for the kid buying drugs. Obviously, the parents have had their share of fault. But it's by providing this platform, which now is somewhere in pixels on internet instead of a physical yard, that is the reason why Snapchat and a lot of different social medias get their blame for. It's for, as we said, particular irresponsibility and the platform that they provide.
But Snapchat is an app that gained a lot of popularity, mainly due to their disappearing message and photos. And growing up too, it was obviously popular amongst young kids because now parents
never download it, never will.
Can't really see the message that you're sending and receiving. And as discussed, one of the biggest risks that children face on Snapchat is just how easy it is to get in contact with strangers. And so with that, Snapchat essentially became a gateway for abuse and sextortion.
It's sad to look at an entire banner full of all of these children's faces that are no longer with us, all from Snapchat. They're all Snapchat cases.
But parents are now taking a stand. In late 2023, parents of 60 teenagers sued Snapchat, alleging it had facilitated their children's drug acquisition, resulting in overdoses. But that's not the only legal problem that Snapchat has. In 2020, a Virginian man was sentenced to 50 years in prison and used Snapchat as a tool for his crimes.
He even used a different alias on Snapchat to hide his identity.
But that's not all, because there's countless stories of these predators using Snapchat as that tool or gateway. What are some specific changes you want Snapchat to make?
We just want them to be aware of what's happening, make it safe. You know, after my daughter passed away, I reached out to Snapchat immediately, letting them know, hey, we need to get into her Snapchat. This is what happened. To this day, even with police involvement, Snapchat has not responded. They're not interested.
I see a problem in this is by the access you provide. So for example, if Snapchat, but again, no, actually screw it. Let's take, for example, a house. If I invite someone into my house, I should know particularly what they are doing. I might allow something, I might be I'm still in control and I might access stuff, you know? Somewhere maybe we agree that, okay, I don't get too personal into you, but it's my house. You know, same here with Snapchat. If in order for this to be somehow controlled, Snapchat needs access, and Snapchat needs to be allowed to track your information, track your messages, track what you're doing basically there. And for people who are going to complain to, oh, now I don't have personal freedom and etc., well, then think what you're putting on the app. Maybe that will actually help people think, because they will know that, okay, access to my address will be available to anyone, to random people who are sitting, I don't know where Snapchat is located, let's somewhere in the US or in Sri Lanka, I don't know. My photos, I can't show them, I can't send them because they will be shown again. Maybe this is actually the right thing. Yeah, give unlimited access to anyone, literally to anyone. I swear, maybe that will wake up the thinking process in people's minds.
This drug content, remove these dealers, but preserve it at the same time. They need to be more proactive in that.
And then, exactly, and then Snapchat, as the owner of the house, could come there and say, yo, drug dealer, we don't allow guys like this. Get the hell out. But they need to know who it is. They need to be able to track this.
And they need to be more thorough. All of these online companies need to have a duty of care. And what I mean by that is, so for example, if I had a hotel and there was a sex trafficking ring in my hotel and I knew about it and I didn't do anything about it, I would be held accountable for that. It's out of control. And we're the fallout from that.
And as we discussed earlier,
I literally was spilling the segment that she said for like 2 minutes.
Governments are now starting to crack down on this issue of internet and kids' safety. But at the same time, should these governments be interfering with these platforms and potentially violate free speech?
So what are some specific examples, like let's say if you're part of the government, right? What role would you want to play to stop playing defense and being, I guess, more on the offensive regarding them?
I think we have to understand that the shared interactive media space, the internet, is our new town square, if you will. And so we have to develop a level of transparency about how it works and the ways that information passes and what kind of information passes. We have to figure out how we want our levels of privacy to be. It's too easy now for kids in particular, but for all of us to go negative, to be edgier and to divide us more. And we have this immensely powerful tool that can connect us and bind us together, and yet we're often using it to push each other away.
And even though it takes years for governments to catch up to these types of things, there's a lot more attention now. Because in January, as covered in our free weekly newsletter, link in bio, CEOs of big social media companies were summoned to a hearing, but why? CEOs of Meta, TikTok, Discord, X, and Snap all appeared in front of senators over these child safety concerns. And it shows that it's not just Misty and Amy and Snapchat, but all these platforms were being accused of exploiting teens and their mental health. And
the only reason these guys were there is because their platforms are the most popular. But there's so much more social platforms, social medias, like, I don't know, some different websites. Literally anyone can be held accountable. The only reason these guys are particularly on that stand, well, I'm showing Jen, but you get who I'm talking about. The only reason they are there is because of their size. It's because how big they actually are.
Key, Zuck was getting cooked.
37% of teenage girls between 13 and 15 were exposed to unwanted nudity in a week on Instagram. You knew about it. Who did you fire?
Senator, this is why we're building all.
Who did you fire?
Tools. Senator, I don't think that's.
Who did you fire?
And I promise you that I'll talk about this at the end of the video, but Zuck was getting pressed about the underage kids on Instagram, as well as drug deaths linked to both Instagram and Facebook. And not to mention being asked about the multiple lawsuits against Meta for having features specifically designed to keep kids addicted and watching countless reel after reel without remembering shit.
Okay, that's a bit different. That's a bit different. We're talking about, I think that's where we kind of differentiate. The building an addiction to your platform isn't really wrong. You know, it's a simple way to sell. And if you're selling a good product, if what they are doing is a good thing, you would want your kid to get addicted to reading books, right? To like learning stuff, etc. And obviously, Meta, TikTok, we're talking specifically about Meta, obviously, they really don't care about the good or bad. Most of them care about the money coming in, the viewers coming in, the growth that will come with it. But I'm not sure that this is the right way, the right thing to sue them for. That, wow, your product is too addictive. The only reason I think this actually is out there is because it's targeting towards kids. Well, we're gonna see how it's gonna go.
What are your thoughts on the recent Senate hearing with the big tech CEOs from Discord, Meta, and then importantly Snap?
I think that Mark Zuckerberg getting up and stating multiple times that there's no direct correlation between mental health issues and social media was crazy. I can't believe he even said that. I mean, everybody knows that's not the case anymore.
I mean, I can technically get why he said it, because you can connect mental health issues to anything, genuinely. It comes from everything that evolves around your life. The thing is, why specifically we're talking about social media is because of how much time and how much energy it takes in each of our lives, to be fair. Like right now, you're watching me through social media. It takes time from you. So obviously, the things that you hear, the things that I say, they will affect something inside your brain. And I only hope it's in a good way.
And then you've got Evan Spiegel out there saying that, yes, he supports the Cooper Davis Act, and yes, he supports the Kids Online Safety Act, but yet taking no action to implement any of that. So, he needs to implement that now.
I mean, it's good to see, right? Like, we have to talk about it. So for me as a parent, yes, I'm glad that there is conversation that's happening. I just want action behind it. I think that it is, like I said, it is good that we're talking about it, but there is so much that needs to be done to make it safer.
I think it is unfortunate that we have polarized this argument to the point where they feel they have to legislate against the tech companies as opposed to figuring out ways to help work the system to make it a more useful, healthy system.
And look, there's been countless of these Senate hearings so far with nothing happening, but this time was a little bit different because something unexpected happened.
Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
As you can see, he directly apologized to the parents, but is that good enough? Because just like Snap, his platform is at least part of the reason why these children died. But as we do on this channel, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. Because are these kids' deaths really the platform's fault? Or is it also the parents? If I may respectfully play the devil's advocate though, in that instance, is that really the platform's fault? Or in that instance, was it more so the culpability on the drug dealer? It does seem like Snap was kind of like the medium in which they communicated.
Absolutely.
I don't know whose quote is this, but I think it's about a gun that, yes, you didn't pull the trigger, but you're the one who took the bullet, charged the gun, and gave it into his hand. Yes, obviously that they were not the one mainly responsible, but they need to be held accountable for the specific platform. You can't push them for full responsibility. And this is a way where, for example, a certain lawyer can win a case, because eventually what is the judge who decides, is the juries who decide, and they're all people. You can play with their emotions, really. So you can show them that it's just, they're trying to destroy the good name of social media, who have this great goal of uniting all people around the world by making them blaming them for the irresponsibility of the parents around the world. Is this a solid argument? Probably a good lawyer can make it sound better, but I don't think it's the devil's advocate. I think that it's just the thing that you can't exclude them, but you can't really say that it's all their fault.
And we're not saying Snapchat's all to blame at all. What we're saying is you have a responsibility with this platform. If you know that this is taking place, why not work together to make it a safer place? We're saying we need to make it safer for the kids that are on the platform. You know, that's it. You can use it responsibly. I understand that. However, we have a whole drug epidemic that's happening right now, and our kids are dying, and they're using Snapchat to obtain those pills.
Imagine if ChatGPT and Canva had a baby. That's at Creative AI. It's the only generative AI designed.
It's not Snapchat's fault my daughter died. The problem is we're coming to you and we're saying, hey, we need help making these changes to make these children safe and stop kids from dying because they're using your app.
The kind of popular vernacular these days is to say that social media is like the root of all evil. Where do you stand on that?
I'm not one of those parents that's trying to get rid of social media. I know that's not a realistic expectation, okay? I fully get that. And I myself use social media, right? I mean, it's connected me to family I haven't seen in years and years and years, you know? But if you look at the rise in mental health issues, it rises at the same rate as social media. So we know there's a direct correlation.
It's very human and frankly, very lazy to seek a binary answer to a complex and nuanced question. This idea that if we only got rid of smartphones, if we only got rid of social media, everything would be okay. Well, guess what? All of these trends of increasing anxiety, increasing depression, things of that nature were already in place. Do social media amplify and accelerate things? Absolutely. And those are the things that we can work on with the algorithm. But I think that we've got to step back and say, what kind of world do we want to live in? How do these tools fit into that? And how do I personally clean up my own space in ways that I want to see others do it?
Because I hear this all the time of how social media is the cause of everything bad. Because isn't it a bit of a lazy excuse to just blame these platforms when clearly this issue is a lot more complex? And yeah, I'm biased because this is my job, shut up. But in all seriousness, when do we start looking at the individual and how they also use it? Because one way to look at it is that technology like social media is like a tool, right? And
I'm not sure that we're not doing. Although, no, I was actually blaming people for not reading terms of service. So yeah, it's right. We have to look at it. Sorry for interrupting.
Just how you can use it to feed you brain rot content, you can also have it feed you valuable information and content like my video, and also connect you to people from around the world. Like, that's powerful. But at the same time, we do have to remember that we're talking about kids that are easily impressionable. And so when we talk about technology, what happens when tech companies start pushing their own agenda and influence through what we see? Because this might be something that I don't think people are talking about enough when it comes to AI and how it can start influence. Researchers who developed Imagen in 2020 warned that AI could harm by spreading misinformation, but also could start excluding communities. Like here, take a look at this prompt and then
Can you generate an image of a 19-year-old? For me, it should be an illustration. Okay.
What was generated after?
Do I need to comment on this? I'm not even going to talk about the weird science here. No, I mean, you got it even better.
So obviously not historically accurate in that a group of Nazi soldiers were shown as people of color. And then let's take a look at this another example here. Okay, hold up. Why does bro kind of look like me in 30 years? So I doubt any US senators in the 1800s was Asian. I was probably building railroads and shit. And this diverse choice that was rolled out by Gemini was noticed by a lot of people, including this former employee of Google. So since then, Google has apologized for what it describes as inaccuracies in some historical image generation depictions. In supporting that, one might say that this is just an overcorrection of AI's long-standing racial biases. So look, I think it is a...
At the end of the day, AI and social media are controlled by people. And those human beings are going to do whatever they want. Unless other people come and they somehow try to stop them or limit them, fight with them. And that Senate thing, that was also one of these fights. You know, they got tired from the harm social media was bringing. They took them to a court and decided to get tough on them. And it's going to be the same with all of the new ideas and what's coming after AI. That all will happen eventually. Let's finish the reaction and then I will add some more.
Bit extreme to just say that AI is now going to start erasing history, but most importantly what this shows is how technology has the potential now more and more to increasingly influence us in how we see the world. So then, what the hell can we even do? If you could leave a message to every parent out there on how to handle their kids' online activity, what would it be?
Follow the things that they're following. Make it a rule that they have to follow positive content too. You know, they can follow groups like our foundation or other groups out there that are doing drug prevention education. Get them to follow those things.
Phones have no place in the dining room. They have no place in the bedroom at nighttime. There are a lot of things, but it's less about individual rules than it is about the expectations we have for each other. And what are they? That we be present for each other, that we not be staring at our phones when we're with each other, etc.
Talk to your kids, be open and honest with them. They know so much more than we think that they do. Kids are scared to talk to their parents because they're afraid they're going to be in trouble, you know? And so if we give these kids a safe space to talk about things like this, we might be able to find out more of what we need to know.
But sometimes it's the parents themselves that are putting their child in danger. A disturbing investigation led by the New York Times looked into the world of underage modeling on social media, where moms are the ones posting, let's say, bad.
I can't, I don't want to even, do I have to? I mean, he did blur it.
Photos of their daughters as young as 8 on Instagram just for some extra followers and money in the bank. You can already guess the type of people that these pictures and accounts are attracting. And it's not like these parents...
I have recently seen a very dangerous video. I don't know why it got popped into my feeds, but it was Luis Suarez's daughter. And there is apparently like some fan account of her. And they edited these shining reels, you know, by physically glorifying her looks. The girl is 15 and already having accounts. And this is something that got popped up in my feed. You know, I, who is mostly, you know, sports, philosophy, that's where we stay. And even it got into my, somehow it squeezed past all of it to be shown on my screen. So imagine about someone who, you know, consumes way weirder and way, I don't even know how to use the correct adjective. What would be a good adjective to this? Just let's say just worse content. Can you imagine what the algorithms offered them? They offered them this.
Don't know. So we can't even trust the parents or the platforms or the kids. Are we cooked when it comes to technology?
They're not doing enough right now. And again, we keep hearing these empty promises. It's going to take lawsuits and legislation to really move the needle on any of this. And so we have to get through that long haul first.
I'm going to be honest, if we don't see some very, very serious changes, I don't see it getting any better. Now that it's out there and now that it can be used in this manner, why would they stop?
Social media will go on. I hope that it improves all the time. I think there will always be bad actors because we're human. There are always going to be people who will figure out ways to exploit each other, either for profit or just for pleasure. We do have to educate and empower young people to both protect themselves and each other from harm on the outside, but also be producing, because this is now, media are not just a receptive thing anymore.
And so I think what the point is that no matter you're a Gen Alpha or a Boomer, just like a bad diet, what you regularly consume is going to impact how you think, how you see the world, and what you put out into the world. And it's something that made me think, because ever since I've gone full time to build the next big middle ground media company, I have to be honest, I don't think I'm going towards a good path. Just like Amy and Misty would say that these platforms are only after maximizing profits over kids' safety, as corny as it may sound, I feel like I've been doing something similar, but chasing views over impact. And it's something that I've been thinking about a lot, because if I honestly and genuinely want to inspire others to consider other perspectives and help us change how how society approaches issues, if I'm the one compromising on my values, there's no shot we'll even get closer to our mission. Because just like this video explored, whether we like it or not, there's no denying it. Just like how you're watching this online from anywhere in the world, change starts online. And my aim is to inspire, not damage the next generation. And if you agree, help us by signing up to our free weekly newsletter, Bridging the Bias, to join our mission of changing the way people approach issues. Or you can just watch this next video here.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the reason why I didn't skip that straight up advertising, because it is a great YouTuber and I really enjoy every single video I watch it from him. The guy really does a great job, and honestly, I respect it. So, the moral of this reaction, I said I'm not going to stay for longer than an hour, but here I am, almost spending an hour. Moral of this reaction. Think. Yes, I've said this a lot, but think. Think about what you're doing, because there's not a lot you can actually control. You can't control everything. Some things are going to eventually appear that you weren't prepared for. So at least try to, know or to think about the things, sorry for my tautology, about the things that you have some control for. Internet is like everyday life. Every action we do, every step we take leads us to our next one. So guys, be smart. So Zeno77, we had a great reaction from Jen. Next week, dropping another stream. I don't know, maybe a Brad Cooper stream. I'll see. In any case, if you like this video, you know what to do. If you disliked it, you know what you do. If you want to write a comment, always welcome, especially if you disliked it. With that being said, I will see you in my other reactions.